Have you ever been scrolling through your feed, seen some kind of online uproar and just wondered, is this real? Is it genuine public opinion?
Or is it maybe something less organic?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's especially hard to figure out when it's aimed at a huge company and suddenly seems to be affecting their actual business.
Mhm.
So I guess the big question we're asking today is how much of what we see happening online is, well, truly authentic?
That's a critical question.
And today we're really going to take a deep dive into that, focusing specifically on the recent online backlash against Target, the big retailer.
Right, especially the heat they took after they adjusted some of their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, their DEI policies.
So what's our source material for this?
Yeah, so for this deep dive, we're digging into honestly, a really revealing study. It's from an Israeli cyber firm called Cybra,
Ciabra, okay.
and it was reported by Fox Business. So our mission today really is to unpack what this study found, look at the surprising findings, and try to understand what it implies for, how public perception gets shaped these days.
Okay, so before we get to the study itself, let's maybe set the scene a bit. Target, it feels like they've been a sort of lightning rod for controversy for a few years now.
They really have. It hasn't been quiet.
You probably remember back in 2023, that initial wave of outrage from some customers. It was when Target stocked LGBTQ plus items for their Pride displays.
Yes, the tuck-friendly swimsuits,
Yeah.
gender-fluid mugs, those got a lot of attention.
They did. And there was this palpable fear, certainly among some people, that Target was maybe heading towards a Bud Light situation.
Right, referencing that big backlash Bud Light faced. But what's so interesting here, and kind of central to our discussion, is how the whole narrative just flipped.
Flipped how?
Well, fast forward from that 2023 situation to January 2025. Target announces this, well, pretty significant pivot. They basically said they'd be rolling back some of their DEI initiatives, things like adjusting goals for increasing Black representation in management roles, reevaluating how they supported Black-owned businesses. And they also said, look, we're not going to submit reports anymore to certain diversity surveys.
Like the Human Rights Campaign one,
There.
the Corporate Equality Index.
Exactly, like that one. So
Yeah.
a definite change in direction.
And the fallout from this move, this pivot, was pretty much immediate, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Swift consequences.
Target got banned from the Twin Cities Pride Festival in Minneapolis. I mean, they'd sponsored that for years.
Yeah, that was a big symbolic move.
And then come March 2025, Reverend Jamal Bryant steps up and initiates a 40-day boycott of Target.
And his reasoning.
His allegation was basically that Target had turned its back on the Black community.
Wow. So one wave of backlash for having DEI initiatives, and then this whole new wave after dialing them back.
It really puts companies on a tightrope, doesn't it? What's the insight there?
Well, it just highlights this intense polarization that companies are dealing with now. Any decision, especially around social issues, gets hit from, well, multiple sides.
Yeah.
What looks like trying to appease one group can easily be framed as, like, a betrayal by another. It makes navigating public opinion just incredibly tricky, almost a no-win situation sometimes.
Okay, so that brings us to the Ciabra study, because this is where it gets really interesting.
This is the core of it, yeah.
So they looked at, what, over 2,000 social media
Yeah,
accounts?
2,226 accounts to be precise. And they analyzed 3,379 posts. And these were all posts pushing negative sentiment against Target after those DEI rollbacks happened.
Right, after the pivot.
Un-
And the finding.
Well, this is the eye-opener. The study found that 27% of those accounts they surveyed were fake.
27%. Wow.
That's
That's nearly a third.
exactly fake accounts.
How does such a big chunk of fake accounts change how we should think about that public sentiment? Does it just warp everything?
It kind of has to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It means what looks like maybe a spontaneous, grassroots thing
Yeah, organic anger.
can actually be, well, significantly manufactured. And get this, these fake accounts, even though they were less than a third of the total number of accounts, they generated over 1,000 posts.
1,000 posts just from the fake ones.
Yeah. So they were punching way above their weight,
Yeah.
massively contributing to what looked like this viral backlash.
It really makes you question what's actually organic out there online.
It does. And listen to this quote. This is directly from Cyabra's CEO, Dan Brommy. He told Fox News Digital, and this is pretty stark, "The public is being manipulated in real time.
Wow.
What looks like public consensus online is often fake, manufactured by inauthentic accounts, shaping perception and driving artificial outrage.
Artificial outrage.
And he continues, companies are making multi-million-dollar decisions based on data generated by bots. They're betting shareholder value on signals that aren't real.
Betting shareholder value on signals that aren't real. That's huge.
It really is. It suggests this isn't just like random noise online. It's potentially a calculated strategy, creating this inescapable echo chamber of negativity.
And the study actually broke down how this was happening, right? They called it an online pincer movement.
Yeah, that's the term they used, a pincer movement.
So explain that. What were the two sides of the pincer?
Okay, so on one side, Seabra found fake accounts that were posing as black users.
Posing as black users. Okay.
And these fake accounts were actively fueling that sort of left-wing backlash against the DEI rollback, using hashtags like hashtag boycott Target, hashtag economic blackout, Target fast, 40-day boycott.
Right. Those were the hashtags associated with Reverend Bryant's campaign and the broader economic blackout movement.
Exactly. It aligned perfectly with that calendar, which was this coordinated effort, these rolling boycotts targeting companies seen as backing away from DEI.
Okay, so that's one side of the pincer. What was the other?
Well, this is where it gets even more complex. The study also found other fraudulent accounts.
Different ones.
Different ones, yeah. And these were posing as conservative users.
Okay. And what were they saying?
They were continuing to hammer Target for its previous stance, for its earlier embrace of DEI and the LGBTQ plus policies from 2023.
So wait, they were getting attacked by fake accounts from the left for rolling back DER?
And attacked by fake accounts from the right for having embraced DEI in the first place.
That's incredible. So negative buzz coming from basically all directions.
Yeah, a constant drumbeat of criticism,
Right.
seemingly from opposing sides, but with a significant chunk driven by these inauthentic accounts.
Okay, but what about the actual boycott leader, Reverend Bryant? When Seabra's findings came out, how did he respond to the idea that bots might be involved?
Well, he strongly denied using any bots. His direct quote was, "We have not posted on X since last year. The bots were never used by the campaign."
Okay.
He really maintained that his organization's effort was entirely authentic. He called it a church-driven grassroots movement.
And did he offer any evidence for that authenticity?
He did. He pointed to what he saw as real-world impacts. Things like, decreased foot traffic in stores, Target stock price falling, its valuation dipping, and even the CEO's salary being slashed. He presented these as evidence of genuine, authentic disappointment with Target's decisions.
Right. So how do we square that? We have Seabra saying nearly a third, and later even more, of the negative accounts were fake bots.
Right.
And then we have the boycott organizer pointing to real-world financial consequences as proof of authentic grassroots anger. Can both things be true? Or does one kind of undermine the other?
That is such a crucial question here, and I think the answer is, well, likely yes, both can be true to an extent.
Okay.
Real-world impacts, like those financial metrics, absolutely can stem from genuine public feeling. People might be truly upset.
Sure.
But what this study strongly suggests is that this inauthentic activity, the bots, can act like an accelerant. It can amplify that real anger, maybe direct it, push legitimate concerns out to a much wider, maybe more volatile audience online.
And keep the pressure on over time.
Exactly. Keep that drumbeat going. So it's not necessarily an either. It could be that the manufactured part acts as a catalyst for the real sentiment, making it seem bigger or more sustained than it might have been otherwise.
And speaking of sustained pressure, there was that follow-up detail, right? Seabra looked again later.
Yes, that's a really key point. They did another analysis. This was between May and June, and they found that 40% of the accounts still posting negatively about Target then were fake.
40%, so it actually increased.
That's what their analysis indicated, yeah. Which really underlines this idea that it wasn't just some flash in the pan around the initial announcement. This inauthentic activity seems to have persisted, maybe even grown.
Wow. Okay, so let's connect all this back to Target's actual business. All this digital activity, real, fake, amplified. What did it mean for the bottom line?
Well, the numbers definitely tell a story there.
Yeah.
Target posted sales figures for the first quarter of 2025 that were below average. Sales overall were down 2.8% compared to the year before. And maybe more tellingly, sales at stores that have been open for at least a year, that like-for-like measure, those decreased by 3.8%.
So definitely a noticeable dip. Did Target themselves say why?
They did comment on it. They attributed those lagging sales partly to the anti-DEI backlash, acknowledging that impact.
Okay.
They also mentioned some uncertainty around potential Trump-era tariffs as another factor. But that backlash was definitely cited.
And beyond Target's own explanation, that Cyber spokesperson, Jill Burks, she had a pretty powerful summary of the situation, didn't she?
She really did. She framed it very clearly.
What did she say again?
She told Fox News Digital, fake accounts are hijacking online narratives and triggering real-world financial outcomes.
Triggering real-world financial outcomes.
Yeah. She called the Target boycott a highly coordinated digital attack. It accelerated consumer backlash and moved market value. And then she added this phrase, this is the influence economy brands are now up against.
The influence economy. Okay, let's unpack that a little. When she says influence economy, what does that really mean? For businesses, sure, but also for us, as consumers just trying to understand the world.
Well, it means that increasingly financial results, stock prices, consumer behavior, they aren't just being shaped by the old rules like supply and demand or economic policy.
Right.
They're being significantly swayed by these online narratives, by sentiment that can be, as we've seen, engineered, manufactured.
So a company's value, or even just how we feel about buying something there, can be manipulated by someone creating and amplifying online messages, whether they're true or not.
That's the implication, yes. Yeah. It's a landscape where perception, even artificially generated perception, can have very real multi-million-dollar consequences. As Rami said, companies are making huge bets based on signals that might be distorted or just plain fake.
So, thinking about the listener here, navigating this world that seems increasingly shaped by what happens online, what does all this mean for you? How do we even begin to figure out what's actually happening out there, beyond the screen?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if a huge company like Target, its major decisions, its market value, can be swayed by this influence economy, partly driven by bots and fake accounts, it really forces you to ask a bigger question. What other parts of our lives, what other public debates or social trends might be getting manipulated in similar ways? And maybe more importantly, how do we as individuals start building better critical filters? How do we get better at spotting the manufactured noise versus the genuine signal? That feels like the real challenge going forward.